All right, everybody, welcome back to another great episode of Jesus Christ. I was thinking
That's my job, you piece of shit.
All right, let's do this again.
Yeah, let's try this again.
All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of On Cycle. It's 2025, and this episode is really all about ushering in what's new, right? The changes, everything that's happening.
Looking
what's
to
going.
the future.
That's what it is. Looking to the future. All right. So today's episode, we're going to kind of bounce around, I think, a little bit and kind of, just kind of play around with some of the things in the future of what's going on. And
do a little bit of podcast jazz, as it were.
Yeah. So let's start off with the first thing that's new. We got some new equipment up in the up in the studio, and now Steven is actually running our screen to screen. So if it looks weird and you have no idea what you're watching right now, it's because Steven has no idea what he's doing. He's learning. He's my learning boy. So we got some new stuff. Hopefully that should clear up some visual. If you're a visual person, should help with that a little bit too.
Yeah.
It would also help with the loss of all the things that we lost over the last 2 months because we lost some stuff that we were going to post and it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, we had a backlog of, it was mostly reaction videos that we had filmed that we'll have to refilm now.
Yep.
But it was lost because OneDrive is terrible.
Yeah. Microsoft, if you're listening, I don't want to ever do anything with you.
We're not mad. Well, no, we are, but we're also disappointed.
I was so mad. I was very disappointed. So, we're doing that. We got our new coffee mugs today.
Yeah.
Look at this. Yeah, look at that.
My coffee mugs.
Cheers. All right, it's very nice. I'll take a little.
A little tables out towards the camera.
Very, very nice. Very nice. Okay, so yeah.
I was so tempted to just slurp right now.
So we're doing some new stuff. It's 2025. We're officially at 800 followers so far, subscribers, followers, what do you want to call us? So we thank you all if you're out there watching right now. Thanks so much for coming back. Send us to your friends. Hopefully we can keep gaining. We're getting so close to that 1,000 subscriber
threshold.
That threshold to kind of cruise
start
over.
Making some moolah off of this,
And remember too, for these out there who maybe are coming in a little late, we set out to, when we did this podcast, to create content and maybe start making a little bit of money for that content, not for ourselves, but to create scholarships for DCI members. We talk all the time about how expensive the activity is. We talk all the time about how difficult it is to find money and do those things. So we really wanted to create some great content, but also give back to the community that we're creating for and raise money for scholarships. So every time you click like, every time you hit subscribe, every time you watch one of our videos, every moment that you spend with us is a little bit of money going to a member somewhere out there who's trying to march this season. And
depending on, I don't know when the timeline is for when we might get monetized now, but, I think even if we don't get scholarships out, say this year, we'll get them ready for next year. We'll get the process. And, maybe this year we start making some money off of this program during the summer. We donate to a few meals or something for various cores, right? Either way, we just want to make it so that any profits that we're earning, right, on this, should we be so fortunate enough, are going back to the community, right? To this activity that we love.
Right, exactly.
Right, and that is the only reason for this podcast existing.
That's a really great idea. I would love, if we can't get to an individual person this year, if we can find a core we want to donate to, like a meal day, sponsor a meal day. That would be really fun.
Have all the media teams be like, to record some stuff and just like say some things. We'll put you on the next episode or something. That'd be fun.
That'd be super cool. Yeah, that'd be really awesome.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. I didn't think about that. So that's what's new with On Cycle so far. We have the new React section, which everybody's been enjoying. So if you're finding us from that, congratulations, welcome over here. If you're finding us, if you're on the podcast and you haven't watched the Reacts yet, which maybe you haven't, give it a shot. Go take a look. There's 15 minutes of your day, and you get to watch some drum corps. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So do we dare talk about?
I think we have to.
The
rule change.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I tried to find a full list that had all 15 of the rules changes and whether or not they had passed or been withdrawn or anything.
Only 2 things passed.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, there were only 2 things that passed.
Which is wild.
Yeah, there were only 5 things that made it out of, like, what do they call it? The Judges Congress or whatever it is.
Oh, that might be what it was, because I saw a lot were withdrawn.
Yes. Well, no, so there's some that were withdrawn when they went to the meeting.
Yeah.
But there was some that didn't even get to a voting standpoint.
I guess that's why they didn't even put in there.
Yeah, it was 10 of them didn't even make it past the voting standpoint, which, some of them I didn't understand. I don't understand why.
I'm not sure why,
Like the trophies one. Like, there were 2 there, like, which one the guy, what are we going to call it? And the trophy for high brass or whatever the heck
the high music one didn't even get through.
Doesn't even make any sense to me. And of all the things that got through, the two stupidest ones that got through. You know, like I mean, the percussion one, I sort of got.
The two that passed, the one was the one that was an obvious choice. That was like, hey, our definition for what counts as a percussion instrument is wrong, and none of us have been following it, so we might as well amend it.
Yeah, that's just saying we're going to rewrite this rule.
That one makes sense. I mean, that one at least that was an easy pass for both of us.
I think so.
But the other one, the controversial one, listen, you got pretty mad on Facebook about it.
If you're friends with me on Facebook,
you went on Facebook and you were like, "You're all cowards."
I called everybody that voted for that. All 13 out of 16 of you that voted for that.
It was like 16-2 or something.
Yeah, it was 60. All 16 of you, you're all cowards. And here's why I say that, right? And first off, let me be real clear, because I am not opposed to change in the activity. Everybody thinks
everything. One might say.
I'm not opposed to changing the activity. I'm really not. I want to see the activity grow. I want to see those things. I'm not for bullshit arguments for why this is the right change. And I haven't heard a single person. This is the one I get all the time. We have to evolve. Evolve into what? What do we evolve? We have to make it more inclusive for people. Inclusive for what? You added one additional member to any drum corps.
Yeah.
There's 25 top drum corps. You maybe, if a drum corps was so chose to take a saxophone or a flute or whatever else, you maybe added one person every year, 20 people total. That's not, you're not adding anything. That's not being inclusive. And anybody that was a woodwind player transitioned to brass. You're a great example of that.
Yeah. I think though,
I don't want to
part of me, I don't like where it could be heading.
Yeah, that's my argument with it.
I like that at least this version of the rule specifies it's one solo instrument, you put a mic on it, and that's the solo instrument that you get that's not electric.
Yes, correct.
Right? I appreciate that because it means at least in the near future, it's limiting it. It's like, okay, if you want to put in a bassoon for flavor at one part of the show, whatever, you can do that.
Sure.
Right? If you want to do what the Troopers did, and you can put like a harmonica in there that might not be classified as an electric instrument.
Right.
Just re-clarify some of the things you can do there. Someone also pointed out to me, you know, even just earlier tonight, we were talking about, so, you know, someone pointed out, like, the rule does not, the thing that everyone thinks of is woodwinds. Yep. Naturally. I think it's a understandable gut reaction.
Only thing we don't have yet.
Well, I think in some ways it was kind of like the percussion rule that passed, where it was like, we've already had a few corps that have kind of done this, and it was discussed whether or not that was allowed.
Sure.
So, you know, let's refine the rules so that we're clear about what the expectations, what the limitations are.
That's the only reasonable argument I've heard so far, right? Because somebody else said that to me not that long ago. And I kind of like half thought of it that way too, because of the percussion rule. Right. So because I agree with that. I think that it's like a 50-50 for me. I agree with defining things because I like over definitions. Like I don't like gray area. Don't give me gray area. Tell me what I can and cannot do.
Drum corps,
and I will work within those parameters, right? Whatever those parameters are. And so I'm fine with that, right? But it's the argument, we've already been doing it. Same thing with the percussion things. We've already been doing it. Nobody cares. Right. So who's coming out of the woodworks and going, all right, we need to redefine this thing, because here's what happens, right? Is that everybody's been doing it, and the people who do follow the rules went, we're going to follow the rules, which they did, right?
You say we should punish the people that don't. Really bring some hellfire down?
No, I'm not saying we should, right? I'm saying that nobody has cared about it because it hasn't really affected, I don't want to say affected outcomes, but what has it really done? It's not like anybody has come out of the woodwork and won a DCI championship because of one random instrument they decided to use today. Yeah. You know, like that's not happening, right? So, you know, at best we're watching corps like the Troopers who have come out with like a harmonica and, you know, and all these other different things that they're using, and they're going, well, that's not really technically allowed. You know, we're just not telling them no, but we're not telling them no because they're in, you know, like for all my Troopers fans, you know, guys, I love you, but you're in 12th place. Nobody cares about the person coming in last, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's okay, whatever. Do whatever you guys want to do. It sounds great, and the crowd loves it. So who's it hurting, right? So I think there are people coming out and going, let's make this a definition. But now that it's a definition, and now that it's a parameter that we're allowed to work within, now you're enticing everybody else that hasn't been using that to do that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with trombones, right? When trombones came in, everybody hated trombones, right?
Oh my God, 2016, it was like everyone was like, "How do we put a trombone in our show?"
It was like mandatory. Like, oh, we have a new rule. I need to use that, right?
And that watch a show and be like, "Where's your guys' trombone feature?" I don't understand.
And that was my argument. That was my argument. That was my coward's argument, was that if you cannot find a creative way to continue to enhance our activity, then you shouldn't be creating anything within the activity.
That's fair.
Period.
Like that.
Like that's the only argument. If you have to have new things added solely because you can't think of anything else new to do.
Yeah, it's not like the space has already been exhausted and
it
explored to its totality. Not even close.
There's tons of stuff that come out every year, and I go, holy crap, why did I think of that? Stuff that would have been fine 25 years ago that nobody thought of. You know what I mean?
Like, we just look at a bunch of our favorite shows from the past year. Yeah. They didn't do anything that was like a totally new rule. They just sat within the parameters and they did new cool stuff.
If anything, I think 2024 is arguably one of the better years that we've had in the last 10 years. And the shows retracted away from some of the newer stuff that's been going in and went a little bit more back to what it was while keeping some of the taste.
A lot of them brought...
You know, I said this before.
They went more back to the balance of like older school stuff versus newer school stuff, right?
Well, we talked about this. We saw more drill this year than we've seen in the last couple of years, and everybody loved it. And we saw, you know, and everything else, you know, and it's the whole like this other argument I can't stand. Drum corps is dying. We're not going to die without innovation. Like, no, it's not. It's not at all. It's driving the most revenue it's ever driven. There are more fans now than there have ever been. There are less cores. I'll let that be an argument. But that's not a content problem. That is a management at the core level problem, right? Yeah, that's all that it is, right?
And frankly, adding the potential for a mic'd woodwind instrument wouldn't.
That's not doing anything for those cores.
Yeah, that's not going to curb that.
All it's doing is making shit more expensive. Yeah, you know, when we added,
I think the argument of like, oh, well, drum corps dying, we have to evolve it. I'm like,
a stupid argument.
I think it's
absolutely stupid argument.
I think it completely misses the point of what parts of the industry are struggling.
Yeah, because that's not what it is. You know,
label out.
Everybody's just like, you know, what is the new Facebook thing that's been going around? If you guys have been out there, I've been loving people talk about how do we make drum corps more expensive or more
accessible,
more affordable, and it's like people are like, get rid of all the trucks. It's like ridiculous things. Like, do we just get rid of all the? You know, what we should do, get rid of all the brass instruments. You know,
we should stop feeding our members.
Don't feed food. Who needs food? You know, and like,
who needs it?
I mean, it's fun. Like, I love the ridiculous online banter that goes on. I'm out there. If you're out there right now doing ridiculous online banter, I love you from the bottom of my heart. I read you every day, and I just go. And I just love it.
Great.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of sauce. I think that comment that I put on Facebook the other day was probably the first thing I've posted, like, other than just general, like, hey, there's stuff going on that has any of my opinions on it, probably in a year, you know?
Yeah.
Because I just don't get involved. I don't care. But I have my opinions, obviously, but like...
Yeah. You'll get into it with people in the comment section sometimes, but you're rarely coming in swinging.
And even that, rarely. Very rarely. And even if I do, I'm
a lot of times you're just poking the bear.
I do like poking a bear. That's one of my favorite things to do. So, so anyway, that's probably enough about this year's, you know, new rule change. I'm curious to see what happens.
Especially, like I said, I appreciate that the rule in its current form specifies a single acoustic solo instrument that's not brass, basically. Yeah. Right? I like that because that means, right, I'm okay with adding some weird instruments in for flavor. Like, Troopers doing harmonica. If someone wanted to cover Gabriel's oboe and they used an oboe or something like that, I'd be like, yeah, sure. Okay. Good luck with an oboe on the field. But cool, right?
Good luck tuning that, in the middle of summertime, I think this is why. I think this is the last thing I'll say about it. This is why I got really like. If you're going to make change, if you're going to be the people that make these choices and make these decisions, if they're going to be out there going, this is what the activity needs. Don't hide behind your choices. They changed the wording in that rule to get rid of the word woodwind. Because it said this.
Did it have the word woodwind?
It sure freaking did. Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely did. And you know what they did? They took it right out. Right. And I think
they did it for taking the word out to be like, well, let's not make people think of woodwind.
Absolutely not. If you're going to make a rule that we all know why that rule exists, right? If you're going to make a rule and be like, it's obvious that this is what it is, it's like you're hiding it in there. You know, it's like throwing a different like law underneath of a bill that needs to be passed. We're like, yeah, this bill's going to be great for everybody. And we're like, by the way, you know, kills babies in corners. You know, like, we're like, well, where'd that come from? Like, we didn't know that was in there. Was it in the wording? I'm like, it's in the fine print. Like, we know what it's for. We knew what it was there for. It has probably it's 10% we need to standardize the content. And it's the other 10% is we need to open this thing up because we want to, because we're weenies and we don't know how to be creative anymore. That's just my opinion. Yeah. So I go, sure. I don't know. So, and then my argument is not like, I'm fine with one solo instrument. That's cool. Let's see how long it stays. We were all fine with electronics when we all believed that the reason why electronics were there was to save the pit. Everybody was okay with it.
Yeah.
And now we mic the big course mic 35 horn players.
I think you should be limited on how many horn players you can mic.
And this was exactly what we were all worried about. That was a rule
that was introduced a bunch in like previous summits, I think, and was always shot down of like cap the number of performers you can mic to 10.
Right.
Because why on God's name would you need more than 10 or 12 people mic'd? If you're doing a Santa Clara Vanguard 2017 thing where a specific portion of brass small ensemble is mic'd and the whole show they are playing a different book than the rest of the horn line, that's something I could understand. But even then, it's like what, 15 people max? Not like
there was like 25. I thought in that
no,
show.
was
it smaller than that? Yeah, I could be
like
wrong.
12 or 15 or something.
I don't remember. Yeah, but that's
not,
my point.
Yeah, not like 25 people.
Yeah.
Like
when you look at the top
Coats or Devils or other people do.
Yeah, I would say the top 5 cores now are probably miking 20 to 30 people in their horn line, so somebody in the activity can just do this with faders and adjust things, right? And I'm sure that some people are being honest about like what they're doing and how they're doing it, and that's fine, whatever. I don't necessarily have a problem with it at this point. I'm not worried about that. My purpose for that statement is that the electronics rule, we all believed it was for one reason.
Yeah.
And then it morphed into what it is now. And I still think it's great for the pits. I do think it adds hundreds of thousands of dollars of expense every year to the activity. So you went away, you saved pit equipment. Congratulations, we're not breaking marimbas anymore, which is great because they're very expensive pieces of equipment. But now we're just breaking electronic equipment instead.
Well, yeah, because we realized what they could do with it from a production standpoint.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so you just traded one for the other. So it's like now, your argument 10 and 12 years ago, whatever it was when the rule came out, is now null and void to me because that you just added expenses onto it.
Yeah,
and you just don't care about it anymore. So anyway,
that's
what I worry about when it comes to that. I'm like, oh, that's not and then the people just go, well, we got to innovate. Innovate. So
yeah, innovate this.
Yeah. anyway, so one of the other things we wanted to talk about, because we got off that thing, because we can argue about that all day.
Yeah.
If you're if you're all in the comments right now and you're heated about the things we're talking about, let me know. I want to hear all your words. I want to hear all your words of disgust or like old man shakes a cloud,
or solidarity, perhaps.
Maybe,
right?
Anything. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was like, what are you most excited for coming up
season?
Yeah, because that was kind of like a dreaded thing. Like I was curious to see what the rules were going to be, and I got a little grumpy about it for half a minute, and then I was like, it's going to be okay. But now I want to focus on, like, I'm a positive guy. Like, let's focus on what's good. What are you excited for the year?
I think. Frankly, this is such a nebulous one, but we'll start with the big picture stuff.
Yeah,
I was just thinking about this on the earlier today. I forget when exactly, but I was thinking about we talked about how Blue Coats had such a strong core last year, and that's true for a lot of cores. I think a lot of cores have grown.
I think it's the strongest years.
Yeah, right. But I think the 2 or the 1.5 basically seasons that everyone had off. Really, it kind of like reset everything in a way.
Right.
Almost everybody in the 22 season, it was, I think DCI was like 70% rookies or something, right? Just because
it was a huge amount.
It was a bunch of age outs or super age outs in 21.
Right.
And now, cores had to kind of start from square one a little bit in 22. I think what we saw in 24, one of the reasons it was such a strong year was everyone, members and staff and admin and everyone across the board got to finally like build some momentum back up.
Yeah.
Right? After 2 kind of shaky years with like some good shows, but like I think overall more underwhelming than most previous years. We came out with 24 and it was like banger year for cores.
Everybody.
Across the board. Right? I'm really excited to see those cores that have been growing and how they're going to grow and continue further, because I have more confidence in this coming season than I have in previous seasons that quality of performance and show design and execution is going to hold through and possibly continue to grow.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I felt a tinge of that in 2013 going into 24 because I really enjoyed Phantom Show that year. I was like, oh yeah,
23 was so
great year, right? Like,
awesome
show me what you're going to do next year. I love that. And Troopers was the same way for me that year. Like, this is pretty good. I really like this show. Show me what you're going to do next year.
Show me what you got.
And those were the 2 shows that I was like, I'm very excited to see what those cores do. But they were like the only 2 that really like grabbed me, and I was like, oh, this is the next year. I can't wait to see what they do. This year, I can't wait to see what Blue Coats do. Right.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see
Boston.
what Boston does. I can't wait to see what Phantom does. I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see the conclusion of the Troopers show.
Yeah, the Troopers trilogy.
Yeah, the Troopers trilogy. I can't wait to see that. I'm so excited for Madison show this year to see what the heck they're gonna do. You know, and oddly enough, we've talked about this a few times. We kind of bashed a little bit on the Cavies last year. I'm hopeful for the Cavies this year.
Yeah, I don't think a strong comeback. Well, I mean, they had a rough season, you know, in the mid 2010s and like 2015, and then the year after that, it was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they came back with a much stronger show.
They had a huge turnover in their staff and in their administration.
Yeah.
They had a lot of the old administration from the early 2000s come back to try to revitalize the core a little bit. There was a lot of that, and it's all old news now. It's like 2 or 3 months ago they were making announcements about those people coming back. So I'm very excited to see what those people bring back to the organization as a whole, because without the cadets, they're the most winning organization championship wise in drum corps.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty sure nobody else has more than they do besides Blue Devils, obviously.
Blue Devils, obviously, yeah. But I think, definitely.
Blue Devils, cadets, and then it was Cavies.
Yeah, I think so. Because Cavies got like,
Cavies
what, like
7?
6 or 7?
They have 7, I think.
7 probably.
Yeah, because they have 2 from the 90s, and then 5 from the 2000s. So, you know, they were super dominant in those years.
I'd love to see Cavies come back and be strong.
Yeah,
it's never fun to see a core struggle.
No, of course not.
Right? Like I really hope Crown gets their design stuff together. I would love to see a good return to form and effectiveness from Carolina Crown.
I was suspect 2 years ago, hoping for 2024 them to go, because I was on the like, it'll be okay. They're going to fix their stuff. They're going to get back together. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Now I'm worried. Now I'm really worried.
Definitely worried. Yeah.
Now I'm really worried.
Crown, come on.
Yeah. What's going on over there? That like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm very curious. This will be the make or break year, I think, for Crown. I think this will be the year that they're going to get it together and they're going to be back to a top 3 competitive organization, or if they don't, they're going to just go ahead and clean house, and they're going to start looking at other things that they need to do. They've been doing that like every other year with the percussion staff for a while now, but I think it's going to have to look at a different, like probably a design element type thing. So from that point, because I talked about 23 is was a rougher show, and most people are not that big of a fan of it. Yeah, I mean, but it was still a 3rd place show, right?
Yeah,
is that what it was? Yeah,
it was 3rd place. It was almost 2nd place, and I frankly didn't see it.
I don't get it either. Yeah, I didn't get it either.
I mean, I guess the other shows were just weaker that year, I guess. But you have an off year every once in a while.
Right.
Crown had 2018. It was kind of meh.
Yeah.
Then they came back the next year and they had a strong show, right? But right, 2 shows in a row that have the same kind of issues, that starts to form a pattern.
Crown, if you're listening to me right now, and I know you are, don't come out with orange and brown. Don't come out with that ugly color palette that they've been using. The Beast, the Beast year, and any years in the last 10 years, you look at Crown and you go, oof, those were rough years. It's the exact same color palette. It's like this deep red, deep orange, deep brown kind of like pasty color that you're just like, why?
It doesn't read on the field.
It doesn't read at all. It's terrible. So it's like, I hope they go. And if you look at even like, what was it? Was it 22 that they did the show where there was the crowd thing where they took the QR
right
code?
Here, right now.
Yeah, right here, right now. Great show. I know it was dirty.
Surprisingly good show.
Great show. So much fun. And
I thought it was way too cheesy for my liking, but also the music moments were awesome. Yeah, the closer slaps.
Yeah, I loved the cheesiness because it's, you know what it was? It was a lot like Rockstar.
Yeah,
it was a
very fun show in person, especially.
Super cheesy show.
It's
really fun. It's really fun to watch. Yeah,
I love Rockstar.
So I'm okay with that. I don't think they should do something cheesy like that, but I would love to see them come out and do. I don't know what they would do.
God, do something effective.
Yeah,
and Crown, can you just, I don't know, pick some music that's interesting?
Right.
God, last year's show, I just remember watching it the whole time being like, I don't care about a single melody that's happening right now.
Yeah.
Right.
It felt it just felt very much like horn line hit, nothing, horn line hit, nothing, horn line hit. It really does. It is rough.
Yeah.
It has been.
I don't know what changed and what they're not doing that they did before.
Yeah.
But like, let's do something different. Come on.
What do you think? Here's a question for you, right? As we're moving into 2025, what do you think Blue Devils should do? Because I'm curious. Like, if you were like, they were third place.
What's the goal? Is it get back to winning, or is it evolve in a way that is meaningful to the Blue Devils?
I think it's up for you. You know, what's that? Do you want to see them win again? Because I don't, obviously. But
frankly, no. Yeah, I know no matter what the Blue Devils do, they're going to keep executing it at the same level of efficacy that they always have, and they're going to keep chasing that.
Yeah, of course.
I would love to see them try more new stuff. Right? I would love to. Right? If they're sort of at a crossroads, right, with last year, they fell into this pattern a bit in the back half of the 2010s, and then they kind of just kept with that same kind of show design for 22 and 23.
Yeah.
24, they did something that was still very Blue Devils-y, but what was substantially felt different.
Yes, correct.
From previous years. I hope what they take from that, the lesson they take, is they go, hey, we tried something different, and it didn't work as well as the previous years. That's just because we need time to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I hope what they don't do is, well, let's go back to Old Faithful and do the same stuff that we were doing 22 and 23 and 19.
Yep.
Right. I want them to keep trying new stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I've talked before about how, like, you watch, I know you're always salty about them, but if you watch Blue Devil shows from the first half of the 2010s,
okay,
what is consistently true is they look like shows that are 10 years ahead of their time in terms of the amount, the style of visual design and the style of show.
Okay.
You watch 2012, the Dadaism show, the Cabaret Voltaire. It looks like a show that you could immediately pick up and drop into the 2020s.
Okay.
Right? They're still innovating somewhat with visual design, but 22 to 24 did not feel as ahead of the curve as
I see what you're saying.
It felt like they got a little more complacent.
So everybody's caught up to where they are, and they're just kind of doing the same thing.
Like what,
you know,
the thing that I always
say all the time is they do the same crap all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think it's just the type of design that I want to see. I just want to see them try new stuff. Like when they're no longer 10 years ahead of their time with their visual design, and they're doing shows that feel similar the previous years. That's why I'm like, okay, guys, come on, time to try something new.
Yeah, I got you.
Right, which I think they started to do in the previous year, and I really hope they continue to do it.
So I told you this, and I said this last year, and you know how much I hate them.
Yeah,
that I really liked their show last year. I enjoyed seeing them play something different. I enjoyed them kind of coming out of the box a little bit and doing something like that. I would love to see them. You know what here's what I want. Change for 2025.
Yeah.
I want to see the Blue Devils do a ballad that isn't jazz, because they tried so desperately to move into this new realm of whatever they were trying to do, and they still threw in this weird jazzy. It was like two ballads almost last year.
They have a little bit of a two ballad
and it was
situation.
Like this weird. Now I know the Blue Devils are jazz. I got it right. Like, and I totally understand that.
And I'm fine with them still doing some jazz stuff.
Yeah, I just would love to see them. I would love to see a ballad that isn't. You know what I'd love to see? Like a power ballad, you know, like a real strong, like rip your face off, really, really go for it power ballad that's not some, 1920s ripoff kind of feel thing. That's like this, like, I don't know. I don't even know what to call it, but all their ballads are very similar to me. They're all very like, it's like copy paste, for that. So, and I feel like
previous years especially.
Last year was, that was the only piece that was copy and pasted from all their previous years.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see that part of it change and go into something like I'd love to see them go down a classical road.
I think they had that 2017 show. They had the ballad in that I think everyone really loved.
What was that year?
That was the Metamorph.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was kind of the start of like the real strong start of the trend of similar show design that we saw from 2017 to 23.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With them. They had such a cool ballad that year that I think was like, I think for a lot of people that was like moment of the whole season. 2017 was the Blue Devils ballad.
Yeah.
Right? It did feel like they were like, well, let's just do that again. I mean, 2018, you see this trend a lot in case you ever like curious. Really popular winning shows or really strong second place shows from cores that don't usually win. You always see the next year they try and copy it. They try and do the same thing.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
here's the thing, like, and that's smart design. Like, I'm okay year to year.
I actually
right?
do like it, especially if if it comes in like 2-year or 3-year waves.
Yeah.
I like that's been one of the arguments of things I wish Buccaneers would do. We're always like trying to shift stuff. I wish it'd be like, let's find a thing that works and just try it for, I don't know, 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And then move on. A lot of cores will do that, right?
Yeah.
And I like that, right? I like being able to see, like, you know, you go Crown, you can like see the pairs or triplets of shows of like, we're trying this thing. Okay, now that let's try something new.
Yeah.
Let's try something new in the next few
or
years.
there's a small evolution of it, right? If you look at Phantom, the Phantoms had two bangers the last 2 years, and they are very much in the same vein.
Very similar shows.
Very similar shows. They're two different concepts and different ideas and different, but they feel damn near like, you know.
But like if they did the same kind of show next year, or especially and the year after that, it would start to potentially it would have the danger of feeling stale.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would be, right? And if you look at I've made that argument about Crown. You know, when you look at 2012 and then 2013, they win, right? That's a second place going into a first place. It's very similar in nature, right? And then they try again in
2014. Well, I mean, it was straight up like, what if we do another space show with a lot of notes?
Yeah, and exactly. You know, it didn't do that well, right? And then in 2015, they kind of went. They kept
like, let's do a really strong story show.
Well, they kept the entity of who they were from a brass and a color guard kind of perspective, and they made something different. And then they were the core for a couple of years that was very story based, right? And because 2016 is one of my favorite shows,
very story heavy as well,
extremely story heavy, right?
And then you can even see like 2017, 18, they started doing more like high concept shows, and they kept doing that in 20. You know, that one took them a few tries. 2017, I think, was solid, but not many people liked it because they felt disconnected.
Yeah, I agree.
I was talking about this at dinner. I don't know if you overheard, but
no, I probably did.
I was like, I like 2017 Crown. The problem is 2017 Crown is 4 really strong movements that make no sense when you put them together. Absolutely no sense.
Right.
Right. And then they had like 2018 with Beast, and they like tried to do another weird concept show in 2019, but that time it hit.
Yeah.
Landed. I love that show. It's one of my favorite shows ever.
19 is such a good show. Yeah.
Yeah. But right, you can see that sort of evolution. So what are we even talking about?
I don't know. Here we're talking about things we want to see.
I was like,
we have no idea what's going on right now. What are we doing?
I'm trying to remember the through line that brought us to this.
Things we're excited about moving into the future of 2025.
Yeah. I think
I'll tell you what, I'll tell you one, right? And you can hop on this train with me. I am very excited to see cores 7 through 15.
Definitely.
And to see what they come up with, because
I think we've had such a strong like 6 through 15 or 7 through 15 show in the last few years.
Just the growth in those organizations.
Crazy.
I believe that they have that growth has really reached newer members with talent and said, I'm okay with not going to try to get Blue Coats or Blue Devils. I'm okay with going to Colts. I'm okay with going to Madison. I'm okay with to go, and these are really great quality members, and they have good quality staffs there now too.
Who are like, I'm going to stay where I am.
Right. Who are going to be very. I have noticed in the last 2 or 3 years a heightened sense of loyalty amongst members and staffs.
Yeah. I think it's also good because it feels like it is an earned loyalty.
Yes.
If that makes sense, right?
Yep, absolutely.
I think in the old days, it not to say this would happen all the time, but there was sort of a sense of like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
Right? You don't, but that, you know, that makes it kind of almost a threatening sense.
Yeah, sure.
Of like,
there's consequences behind it, right?
Yeah, right? You'll become a social pariah.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like there's not that social pressure, but there is just a feeling of, I want to be loyal to this core and I want to stick with this core because I want to.
Yeah, correct.
Right?
I agree with
because it's providing me with a great experience. And there is something to be said, like, it's a great feeling to be a vet at a core.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
We both know this as 1,000-year vets of our, of our drum corps, right? But it feels good to be a vet.
Yeah.
Right. To know the organization, to know the people that you're marching with already, to be comfortable with the staff, to know how things are going to run.
Yeah.
Right.
We all know our rookie year and our vet year are 2 wildly different years.
Yeah. Especially
from an internal perspective.
Especially this is one that not nearly as many people get to experience in DCI just because of how AJETs work. But third year is completely different from second year.
I agree with that too.
Yep. Right. I always say this might be different for world class, but I would assume it's similar. Right. I always say you kind of become a true vet your third year.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. First year, you're a rookie and you show up, you have no idea what's going on. You have to figure it out. Second year, you come back and you're like, kind of like, I got this. You tend to get, people can get like second year vet syndrome where they're like, I'm God and I can do no wrong. Right. Or they're just like, there's so much to learn in drum corps. You are still in the process of learning. Third year's that final year where you're like, okay, I'm not a new vet. I'm not a rookie.
Right.
I've been here. I know how this, I know how this whole game is played.
Right.
I know what I'm doing. And usually that's also when, a little of the ego gets cut a little bit. Right.
I agree.
There's a natural incentive to be a vet, but I think a lot of, in say like the 2000s, I know Tiago has talked about this, or the 2010s, you would go to corps that were like just outside of finals or bottom of finals, and they would just like beat the crap out of their members and treat them like shit.
Yeah.
And all the members would be like, what am I paying all this money for?
Yeah.
I'm spending all my time every day to get yelled at and told that I suck to get 13th place. Yep. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
Right now, maybe they're still getting 13th place, but they're like, I like what I do.
Yeah, I had
like
a great
life.
experience. Yeah.
I learned how to work hard and I had a good experience.
If you want to know how to keep corps alive, because if you want to watch the major downfall of corps through the 90s and the early 2000s, all the ones that were falling out, it was that mentality. It was that very old 70s, 80s, maybe even 90s mentality, a little bit of you have to work hard. We have to pound you into the ground. We have to destroy you because that's the only way to get good. And good means good. Winning means good, right? Yeah. And winning is good, right? Obviously, you want to win, but when you're, like you said, when you're down in 13th place and you're just still getting just crushed, and
like,
nobody's eating food, or like, oh, you guys need more reps, or nobody eats tonight, like what, what the heck? Like that's not a good experience.
At Blue Knights, we had a lot of, we I don't know how much I talked about this, but the brass staff was kind of wild at Blue Knights that year. They're kind of insane. Yeah. They kind of lost their minds a little bit, and then they were let go and they all went to Phantom, I think. But it was a really great pedagogical program. We got really good, but I think a lot of people were kind of like, do I want to go through this and have the brass staff just beat me into the ground every day to get 8th place with 7th in brass?
Yeah, right.
We sounded really good.
Yeah.
Right, but
we're still where we were,
And then the next year after that, they had a totally new brass staff, and a lot of people turned over because a lot of people were kind of like, I don't know if I want to go to that brass program.
Right. Yeah.
Right. They're like great educators, but do I want that to be the mentality of the program I'm in? Right. Because that's your call to make, right? Because some people do want that, right? A lot of people went to cadets in like the 2000s knowing I was going to get the crap beaten out of me. Yeah. Right. Because that's what they want, right? They want to go somewhere and they want to get beaten down and built back up so they can be the best. Right. But some people go, not for me. And good. It works. It works when you're the cadets in the 2000s.
Here's the thing, is that it always works as long as you buy into it, right? Yeah. And that's the key, right? It's like the military. Drum Corps comes from a military background, right? Yeah. So I say it all the time. Basic training is this wonderful system that basically never fails, as long as you want to be a part of what's going on. Right. So like if you join the military and you're like, I had no idea what I was getting into and I don't want to be here, basic training is not going to work on you. Because
it's probably going to weed you out.
Because you're just going to go away and you're going to come out with a bad taste in your mouth. You're going to be like, they did these things to me. Right? You didn't want to be there. Right. You thought you did, but you didn't. Right. But the people who truly want to be there and serve and do all the things, be all they can be, and whatever it is in the Marine Corps, and yada blah blah. Like it's time test and proven over hundreds of years that this process works. Drum Corps and in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s was the exact same way. It's the process of how they went about making you good was exactly the same way. It's exactly the same thing the military uses. You can't do that nowadays anymore. I don't think you can. Not the way kids are nowadays. You just can't do it, right? And even the military has changed to some extent to that.
I would like to see, if we're talking about changes, I know we just talked about how the old way could be harmful and whatnot, but I would like to see, similar to how we've seen design evolve, to bring more old school, to bring more drill back, more moving and playing back.
Sure, right.
I think the activity as a whole has made the positive shift towards let's make these environments, these teaching environments better and more enjoyable.
Right.
I would like to see some corps be like, okay, Now we can keep that part. We can keep it enjoyable. We can keep it so it's not toxic or harmful or abusive towards our members. But we can start dipping that toe a little bit back into the you're going to be tired and you're going to have a bad time sometimes.
So a little bit of the crazy.
Right. Just a little bit.
Right.
Because I think there is something, right? There's something to be said for the enjoyment you get from just working hard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. From just sitting down and being like, I'm not going to have fun today, but I am going to be satisfied by the end of the day.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. It's going to suck. And every jump course still has that. There's still bad days, but like,
right.
Like it's all about towing that line, find that balance, right? Of keeping the positive, of the positive attitude, keeping people wanting to be there, and not like just making people's lives miserable for the sake of it.
Right.
But also pushing a little bit in that direction of like, you are probably going to be miserable sometimes. Yeah. You are going to have to learn to not have fun some days and how to work hard, right? And we'll have fun other days. Yeah. We'll have fun plenty of other times. And I think a big part of it is that in the olden days, the old guard,
old days.
Yeah. It would tend to feel the staff is going to be slave drivers and they're going to beat us into submission.
It didn't feel that way, Robbie. It was that way.
Yeah. Yeah. It was that way, right? I think we can reintroduce some of those more like tough love approaches.
Right.
As long as it's coming from the staff being like, hey, we are in this with you.
Yeah.
Right. We're not trying to hurt you.
Right.
Right. We are all working hard on this together.
Yeah.
Right. To get to this end product.
Yeah.
Right. I think that goes such a huge way of feeling like the staff is like when you feel a lot of drunk work people, I'm sure have experienced this. If you are in a core where you feel like the staff is against you, you're like, why would I want to do things for them?
There are certain moments in the day, and I say this all the time. There are people who are made and be instructors, and there are people who are not, right? I think drum corps is filled with people who are not. They're great musicians, and they're probably good performers. They're terrible instructors, because they have no sense of what is going on inside of a person's mind in a moment. You know what drives me bonkers? Yeah. I'm going to vent here for a second. What drives me bonkers?
Go ahead, yeah.
When staff come back from their extended lunch, their 3.5-hour lunch that they get because their portion is not being worked, and it's 1,000,000 degrees, and they come out and be like, guys, what are we doing here today if we're not here to work? And I'm like, I will crush you into the ground. I'm like, you just went to a Denny's and had a Grand Slam, took a nap, and then came back out of your air conditioning car while I've been sweating my balls off out here, and you're going to give me crap about that? There is a fine line. There are people who know how to go, who's really great at this? I'll give a shout out to Dan on this one. Dan is awesome at that. Yeah. Dan will look you
at Bucks. Yeah,
he will look you dead in the face and go, guys, I had a really long lunch and it was awesome. And I know you guys are going through this shit right now.
Yeah.
But here we are. We got to work, right?
Yeah. Just acknowledging it. You're like, okay, you get it. Yeah.
And it's just as simple as I'm here to help you guys get better because that's what you want to do. So that's what I'm going to do for you right now. And it's going to be hard. And I'm gonna push you as hard as I think you need to get pushed. That's all. It's
so simple.
10 seconds. 10 seconds. It's all
this communication.
Of just the acknowledgement that is there.
Yeah.
And
we're not just tools. That we are people that are going through it today.
Human beings. You know what I mean? It's not that hard to look at a person and look at their eyes and go, that person doesn't exist right now.
That person's on another planet.
Yeah, that guy is gone, and it's you would look at those people and just be like, yo, that dude is gone. What are you doing?
We had a story time. This is very relevant. We had this is a Blue Knights. This is an example of, again, sometimes I think being pushed a little too hard in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
We had a day in Southern California. So this is I'll pull the story back a little bit just to give you some context. So we spend the entirety of spring training at Blue Knights in like 80% oxygen from what you normally want.
Right.
Up in the mountains.
Yeah.
I remember getting to spring training and running out and being like, oh my God, I'm out of shape. And then being like, oh, there's just no air up here. Right. So we spent all the time conditioning. We come to California tour. We get to California the first day. We're in like middle California. It's like low 90s, low humidity, and all the air you could ever breathe. And we're like, we're gods right now. We have superpowers.
Yeah, right.
The next day, they were like, hey guys, we're about to get on a bus. We're going to drive to Southern California. Tomorrow it's going to be 113 degrees with 100% humidity.
Oh.
So they were like, we're tomorrow is going to be, the afternoon is going to be an off block. It's going to be a nap block.
Yeah.
Our brass staff, in their wisdom, were like, hey guys, how about instead of doing a nap block for the middle of 4 hours while all the percussion and color guard are sleeping inside, what if instead we give you half a nap block? The back 2 hours, you can have a nap block. The front 2 hours, we're going to go outside, we're going to sit in the shade, and we're going to just rap music.
Okay.
I was like,
it's not horrible, but all
not
right.
the worst, but
but
not great when all the, like I said, all the color guard and perk is like just in lounging.
Right.
So, but like, so we go out there and like the morning is still like 95 degrees at the crack of dawn.
Hot. Right.
It's still incredibly hot. And then we go out there, we're in the shade, but it's still 113 degrees out.
Right.
And we're sitting down on our water jugs playing. And wouldn't you know it, like half of us are falling asleep.
Right.
Because if you've never been on tour, you've probably experienced something like this in the military as well. When you're being worked all hours of the day, when your body stops moving, it goes, oh, it's sleep time now.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, right. You're in survival mode.
Right.
So your body just powers down. It's like if you ever tried to like use your phone to like map something and it's in direct sunlight and it goes like, hey, your phone's too hot. We need to shut down. That's what happens to your body on tour. And we were sitting there and like, I remember I was like dozing. I was like trying to stay awake. And our staff was like, what is going on with you guys right now? And like, I was a rookie, so I don't want to say it, but I remember my head being like, dude, I'm not choosing to fall asleep right now.
Yeah.
You think I'm like, Brad's talking.
Just pass out, right?
Yeah, like I'm doing this because I'm dying right now.
Yeah.
Like that's a great example of just like not reading the room, not understanding. Like I know you want to get your brass stuff done. I know you have your schedule and what you need to do, but like we're dying here right now.
There's only so much you can do. Right. And that's what I mean. Like even back when you marched, which was 17?
17.
Yeah.
Was Minded Nights,
that's almost 10 years ago now. There's such a change in the, the environment. There was a lot of, I was talking to somebody, I can't remember who it was, about what they were talking about out in January whenever meeting. And it was all about the health of members and heat in the activity and all those things too, and how to minimize, how to prepare, how to acclimatize, and all these great lessons that we're like, hey, look, we can make our member experience so much better by doing these things. I hope in 2025, I hope that is something that I know that's something DCI is trying to move towards. I hope it's something that the cores adopt and they don't go, well, DCI is not watching, so I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Which is what always happens anyway. But but it's one of those things where like, hey, listen, a great example of this, and I hate saying this, but if you look at the Blue Devils and their just general overall demeanor and how they handle and how they manage and how they treat their members.
I mean, ultimate like it's just on you guys. We're not gonna like beat you into the ground.
It's just
we're gonna be as good as you guys want to be, and you should want to be great.
And I have no doubt that there's pressure in there. I have no doubt that their staff members push them hard. I have no doubt that they work
kind
hard.
Of push in the right direction.
Right. But
I've always heard at Blue Devils, they never take you and yell at you. They never like make you run laps and stuff. They just, if you're ever like not performing on a day, you're just not doing your thing, the staff will just pull you over and be like, I thought you were better than this.
Yeah.
Right? That's basically, they do that. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that makes
works
you go like
every time.
Crap.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta,
because
they're like, you're not acting like a Blue Devil right now.
And the difference there is that they look at the people who go to the Blue Devils, they know the lineage. They know how incredibly impressive that organization is.
They tend to cultivate people that can self-motivate to that degree.
There's that too. Absolutely. There's absolutely that part of it too. You know what I mean? They do look for that, and I think most drum corps look for that too. At least the good ones do. Like you should be ready. You should be willing to work hard and want to work hard, right?
I think Coates has started to do a similar thing.
Yeah.
I think they definitely...
There's a lot of drum corps that have toned
they're
it
more
back.
East Coast, but I think they've definitely...
Yeah.
More corps are adopting a more West Coast style of like, we're gonna work you guys hard when it's time to work hard, but like it's kind of got to be on you a little bit, and we'll give you a nice break time. I know Boston has started doing that in previous years, and look, it's working out great for them.
It works great for them, right? Exactly. Yeah. What do you know?
Like, our friend Luke, who marched Boston in 18.
Love that show.
SOS show.
Love a show.
One
of my favorite shows.
I think they didn't have to do anything to those kids to make them look like they were stranded on a deserted island for the whole summer, except tell them not to shave.
Yeah.
Right. He was like, I mean, they were just running to the ground, and it got good results. But then he said he would like talk to Boston members that were still there like 2 years later, and like, we're like 22 or something. And they'd be like, oh yeah, we got like every other Sunday off or something.
Yeah, right.
And like, oh, we got these laundry blocks for all these breaks. And he's like, what the hell?
This was not my experience. Yeah.
But you see, the quality has not dropped.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, it's only gone up. It's all it's ever done. It's
probably
just
got
gone
better,
up.
they probably got better retention.
Look, what do you know? What do you know? Have people come back to your organization because it's a good organization to be a part of.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
It is what it is.
I'm glad more, I don't know. Crown might be the only core left that I can think of that I've heard of still does like the you're here to work hard.
Yeah. I'm sure there's other groups.
Although maybe
out
they
there.
haven't been doing that recently. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. You know, I mean, maybe they are still doing that, which is results may vary.
Working.
Or
I don't know.
very specific. You know, that's the way that they are right now. So, you know. So moving on from, because I think we're just all over the place right now. We don't know. We have no idea what we're talking about at this point.
All we're doing is becoming every other podcast. It's just two guys talking to each other, 2 or 3 guys talking.
We have no idea what's going on.
This is what the people want.
This is what
they want. Our witty banter.
You heard what we wanted, and now we gave it to you. Yeah. So things I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
I'm excited about, and we haven't talked about this yet. I'm excited for you to be my new horn sergeant this year.
Oh, yeah.
For those who don't know out there, Robbie was officially appointed the new horn sergeant for the Reading Buccaneers this year. You know, he's been there 10 years now, or this is your 10th season, but
9th season, 8th year.
Okay, you're at 9 and 8, yeah. So like, well deserving. You know, I've told you that. You know, I've been your enforcer for years.
Yeah.
Like, heaven forbid somebody come in and try to take the mellophone section leader from you. I was gonna crush their souls. Yeah. You know, but
we had anytime we had section leader stuff in the previous year, I'd be like, all right, I'm going after section leader, and Lark would be like, if any single person tries to take the section leader from Robbie, I'll kill them. I'll kill them with my bare hands. I'm like, sure, man.
You're a good leader, man. I trust you and I believe in you all the time, man.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm excited for you to take what I've seen in the mellophone section specifically and give it to the entire horn line as a whole. And I think you've already started out pretty good. Here's one of the things I think is something that works in your favor, because I believe it's for everybody, is that when you have somebody that is an unknown entity, people tend to be more on their better behavior. To figure out what's going on. So
probably gonna yell at me for this.
Yeah,
maybe I will.
It's like everything else. Like Heckman's been there for 1 billion years, and Heckman did a great job. But we all knew what Heckman was going to do.
Expect, right?
Yeah. So I also, you know, what happens when you know where somebody's going to be all the time. You also know where you can go to hide away from that thing. You know, like it's not hard, right? The military has the same thing. They move people every 3 years, not because for any other reason than to keep them fresh. You know, if I stay in the same place, I stay stagnant.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, that was a big reason I wanted horn sergeant. I'm just like,
there's a lot of
our previous horn sergeant, Matt Heckman, has been doing a great job, but I was like, I want something new, and I think I could be the person to do that new thing.
Absolutely. Right? I think you're the best person for that.
Thanks.
For the vision that I would like to see as well too. But I also think I know we've talked a million times about.
Do you want to be my Grima Wormtongue or my Dick Cheney sort of whispering in my ear?
I would love to be your Dick Cheney.
Yeah, as long as you don't accidentally shoot me in the back of the head. Non-lethally. Yeah. I'm excited. It does also. I was thinking about this earlier when the horn sergeant stuff was in the works, but our horn sergeants episode is now retroactively. All horn sergeants.
That's true.
Right?
I think at one point I thought about that too. I think when you were talking about like auditioning for it.
Yeah, because it was right around that time when I was starting to talk to people. I was kind of like putting feelers out. I was talking to our previous horn sergeant. I was talking to some members. I was talking to our staff, being like, "What would you think about this?"
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it moves right along the same thing. We talk about change in shows through season to season. I think it's healthy for different people to come in and bring a different flair, like bring their own personality to an organization to help the organization continue to not be stagnant, and to grow. So I look forward to it this year. There's a lot of we have a lot of new members this year in the horn line, and a lot of people are seeing what you're doing. And I think so far you've done just enough. You've put yourself in enough positions to go, oh, this guy knows. Like people are like trying to question who you are a little bit, but you haven't overstepped into we figured Robbie out. You know what I mean? You're doing all the right things so far in staying distant, but being seen. You know what I mean? It's like I need to be seen, not heard. Like everything you do looks great and is in the right vein. You're always looking and doing the right thing, but you never have to tell anybody. You know, you're just there doing it right. And that's the mark of great leaders, first. And then when you got to get up there and say words, you get up there and say words, and you say them with confidence and aggression and, all the things that make people go, oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're doing good, man.
Yeah. Thanks.
So, yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like trying to figure out where I wanted to put it in the podcast. I was going to sneak it in someplace. I know you weren't going to do it for yourself.
Oh, God, no. Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. So yeah, man, I think that's probably the thing I'm most excited about for this year is to just kind of get a different feel for the organization to see what you do. You know, I can't wait for you to break down too. That's gonna be my favorite day when you lose your goddamn mind. I know it's coming because every horn sergeant, new horn sergeant, I had one.
And I had a few of those days last year too.
Yes, you did.
You give me one of those, and I have full power over the horn line.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be like, hey, staff, 3 minutes. I'm gonna just need all the horn line.
Yeah.
Can I just get 3 minutes?
Yeah, I'm going to murder them.
And I'm going to bring them all and be like, guys, I will cut one of you. I keep saying to the staff, and I think I'm just going to sort of manifest this as being a real thing. I keep saying to the staff, they should give me 1 cut per year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? I think I said this to Lydia, and she was like, it's not a bad idea. Right? Just to be like, just in case we're ever on a day, and there's some people that are really slacking, and I need to be like, I will use my 1 cut.
Yeah, I get 1 a year. Yeah. And
I get 1 a year.
Yeah. Steven's over there in fear right now. He's like, he's going to cut me.
I'm like, I get to have 1 free cut, and they can't question. If I want to cut Lark from the horn line, I can do it.
I would love to see you try to cut me.
He can be quartermaster. He's not marshal on the field.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I don't know. I would be conflicted in my I would want to follow you because I say all the time, like, I'll follow you into the depths of hell.
What to do.
Like, oh my God. I'm like, but do I leave?
You'd have to really lose your rocker to
oh my God,
get the cut for me. I can't imagine.
I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could go batshit crazy.
Yes, you want. It's like the same thing of like, we always talk about like, what would Matt Heckman have to do to get cut?
Yeah. I mean, look, trust me, I've been cut before. Like, it's not hard. Yeah.
Yeah. But like to deserve a cut from me and from this current staff, right?
Yeah, I doubt
the big thing.
That would be the case.
Yeah, you'd have to really go off the deep end.
Yeah, maybe
you have to be like
drive a truck into an overhang or something.
Yeah, like Lark is taking all the horns hostage.
Yeah,
and he does.
But Lark decides
he says he's not going to give us any of the horns unless we do Aussies this year.
You're right.
I don't know,
just something wild and ridiculous.
He sent us a ransom note.
It's all letters cut out. And everything. Yeah. So, do you have one thing that you are actually excited? Well, not actually excited, but like excited for this season, just randomly, like a random thing
for us or for?
Doesn't matter. Whatever.
That's a great question.
I'll give you another one.
Yeah, hit me with another one. It might inspire me.
Because we just found out about this yesterday or today, whatever day it was. Jason Zhang.
Yes.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, we marched with a young man at 22. His older brother marched a crown last year. And
they
marching cadets is last year.
Both of them started marching with us in 22. His older brother kept marching with us in 23, and then marched crown last year and was doing it again this year.
Yeah. No, his older brother marched cadets in 23.
Cadets 23, then crown. I remember he didn't go to crown until 1 year with us, then cadets, then crown for these next 2 years.
Yep, and he's aging out there too, and his little brother is going to be one of the new drum majors for Bluecoats. One of the new conductors up there.
Awesome.
Super cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it was completely. I had no idea he was going on for world class.
I didn't either. Yeah, he's such a quiet kid.
He doesn't say much, but he's such a strong visual and timing member.
Yes, he is.
That I'm glad he went out somewhere because he's probably gonna have an awesome summer. I mean, the conductors at Bluecoats are great, and I'm sure, from what I've heard, the leadership program at Bluecoats seems really strong.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
And him getting to be a part of that, I think, is going to be an awesome, indispensable experience.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy, and I think he'll probably be there for a year or two. I mean, he can't be aging out. His older brother is aging out this year, so he's got to have at least another year.
Here's another one that I'm excited about as well.
Are we talking about Adam?
Our friend Adam, who, by the way, you should go back and watch the episode of Conversations with a Blue Star.
Yeah.
One of our episodes. Adam got a contract at Blue Devils now.
Crazy. I know. So excited.
I know, right? Yeah. Super great. Another kind of quiet kid, right? He always just showed up. It's always the ones that just show up and do their job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every year we have like one or two kids who just show up and do their job. And like Jack or Lydia, who are on staff, will talk to me and be like, this kid's like a beast. And I'm always like, who is that? Yeah, and they're like, exactly.
Exactly.
You never hear his name because he's never doing the wrong thing.
Exactly.
Right? They always just show up and they do their job. And they don't say anything. They're there. They're absorbing information and they're applying it.
Yep, exactly.
Right? And then they go somewhere and they, Jacob Weglars was that for us in 2018. Then he marched Coates in 22 and 23.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And he came
Same
back
thing with Adam in 22 and 23.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Adam marched Mellow, then Barry, and then went to Blue Stars and Barry, and now he's going to march baritone at Blue Devils.
I wish I could say that was Ethan, but that kid didn't shut up sometimes. We love you, man.
Yeah.
But he would show up and do his job, right?
So yeah, I'm very excited to see all of our friends, kids, kids. I guess they're more your friends. Maybe they're kind of my friends to some extent. It's weird to call a 16-year-old a friend, but
yeah,
they're
I know
kids.
what you mean. Yeah, right. That's the trick of DCIL age.
It's a weird DCIL age thing. I'm like, this is my buddy.
I mean, I currently like, oh yeah, my friend Lark, who's 15 or 18 years older than me.
Yeah, I think it's like 17 years.
Something
you're
like that.
What, 26, 27?
I'm 27. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're like 17 years. I'm 17 years older than you.
Yeah, right. So no, probably around 15, I would guess. 'Cause you're 42. Yeah, so 15 years.
Oh, yeah, 15
difference.
years. Yeah, 15 years. Yeah.
Either way, but like, right, you get into DCIL age and you're kind of like, you're on the field, you're all kind of on equal playing field. So especially once you pass like the 25-year mark, it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah. Once
Like,
you become an adult,
I'm friends with a retired 42-year-old man. What are you, a cop?
what are you? What is this? What is it? What am I under oath right now?
Yeah,
what are you talking to me about? Yeah, right. It's a weird thing. I say that too sometimes, and like people ask me, I'm like I don't, because all my friends were military, and they're all like my age, like kids my age, that kind of thing. But I never see any of them anymore. I was like, who's my best friend the last year? And like, holy crap, it's Robbie. I was like, it's the person I hang out with the most. Yeah.
Well, you should have started a podcast with me if you didn't want me to fill that vacancy.
That's true. That's the reason why I started is I needed a friend.
Yeah. Honestly, hey, I'm happy to do that.
So
you're talking, be like, hey man, I've been retired. It's been real rough. You want to come over and do a podcast? I'm like, yeah, dude, sure. Always. Sounds awesome.
That's literally what it was.
Afterwards? Yeah, I'll go for it.
Sounds literally what I do.
Yeah.
So that's so that's what I'm excited for, that is to and maybe and hopefully come back in. We'll get some of those people in. I would love to have Ethan and Jason in.
Yeah,
for an
a brothers podcast.
A brothers podcast who are going to watch Crown and Blue Coats this year. That'll be a cool one.
It's awesome.
So if you're watching, guys, which I know you're not because you guys don't watch podcasts because you're children.
You can listen to it.
Yeah, but I'm gonna call him at some point.
Yeah,
get him to come in.
Yeah, so. I'll say I think because we're approaching wrap up time.
Yeah,
I'll say a shameless plug for a thing I'm excited for.
Oh yeah, please.
I'm excited for the Buck Show this year. You should keep an eye out because so far the music we've gotten and the things the media team is doing and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Very I love a good vibe.
Yeah,
throughout the year.
I agree.
And we've been doing some cool stuff. Very excited for it. So shameless plug for the core that we both still march, the Reading Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Check us out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you're new to the podcast and don't know that, like we've been there for a long time now. And,
I think you started marching, what, 98?
98, yeah. I've been there since 98.
I started marching in 2015. We've been back and forth, but it's been our main home core.
Yeah, it's been our home core for a lot of time too. And Steven behind the camera, he marches with us as well.
Yeah.
So
year 4.
Year 4. He's not even 18 yet. He's in year 4.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I know. So yeah, I mean, I think I'm excited for the show this year too.
Yeah.
I've been digging. I'm going to be more excited when we finally see what our closer really is.
Yeah.
Because we've been promised a lot of things as mellophones, and I'm very curious to see what that looks like. And, no spoilers.
I'm curious to see as well. I'm very excited for the closer.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
We can't divulge any information about what the show concepts are, but the opener that we've got so far and the closer are two very fun pieces of music.
Yes, correct.
Go very well together.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm excited to see what the ballad turns into. As we get through that, because it's like anything else. We have a closer and opener ballad. Every other show theme. It should be fun. I'm very curious to see. I have a lot of high hopes for certain things.
Yeah,
so I have high hopes for the uniform this year.
I'm excited about it. I want to see it too.
Yeah, I have high hopes for the concept. I have high hopes for certain things.
Spooky.
I'm concerned for props because I'm always concerned about props because I'm the quartermaster. So I have
you
to
know what I call that?
Those things.
Your problem.
Yeah, I know, right?
The best part about being horn sergeant is now I'm not on prop crew anymore.
Yeah,
because I can't miss the start of rehearsal.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's true. Yeah. What's funny is that like I always looked at it and was like, oh well, the horn sergeant doesn't have additional duties because his additional duty is horn sergeant. You know what I mean? So,
I'll probably just be on my truck crew at the end of rehearsal.
Yeah, I'm sure because all of our people are there packing up and doing.
Yeah, I'm there until 30 minutes after rehearsal anyway, bare minimum. So
yeah, right. So yeah. So I think that's a good place to kind of wrap it up a little bit.
It's a good place to stop. Yeah.
We would love to know what you're excited for in 2025.
Yeah. It can be core specific. It can be overall for all of drum corps.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Whatever you're excited for,
just whatever it is. I think this is one of the best times of the year to be excited about whatever.
Yeah, it's a whole open road of possibilities, right? Yep.
And the last thing I'll say is like I say that because every time somebody announces a show, I get super excited for it. And Spirit of Atlanta.
Atlanta, yeah.
Super cool concept. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. I don't know what the title is. I can't remember what the title is, but I watched the whole promo video for it, and it is really neat. It's a super cool looking concept, and I'm excited to see it this year.
Yeah.
So you caught my attention already, Spirit. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, go check out any of the show announcements, right? Incentivize cores to put the show announcement out early and go look at them.
The troopers that have done it right the last 2 years. Period.
I will say literally the earliest I've ever seen.
Don't stop doing what you're doing, troop.
Yeah.
Because it's awesome. And we're all here for it, and we're all here for we're here for the slow trickle of information as time goes on. Give me that big burst. I'm very excited to see if at the end of the season they drop their 2026 show immediately, because maybe they know what it is. Like, they knew this was going to be a trilogy, so it was easy that 24 hours after finals,
I
they
wouldn't be
dropped the show.
surprised if they go back to a more reasonable schedule, but do keep it early in the season, right? Maybe they wait till like
I'd love to see them just be number
November
one every year.
Or something.
Yeah. If you're not going to win championships, be number one at something.
Yeah, be the first one to get people hype.
Yeah, and it's great.
Yeah.
I think they're doing awesome at it. So that's it. I think that's it for us. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode, and hopefully it didn't look like craziness. If it did, don't worry. It's going to only get better. Steven mans the helm back there. Yeah, it's a little process, but if nothing else, at least all the cameras are the same now. They're not three different cameras.
Yeah, we're not dealing with 2 different cameras that turn off at periodic points, and also a phone streamer camera because we lost the middle one.
Yeah, we did some investment this year, so it's going to be hopefully it's come through. So I'm excited to see what the finished product looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but until then, don't forget to subscribe if you have not already, right? Hit the like button, share it to all your friends, do all that good stuff that YouTubers are obliged to say at the end of each episode. But until then, we'll see you next time. Off cycle.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
What does that mean?
I added in like 2 or 3 things.
Oh, cool.